I'm upset because I get no answers. I obviously stand by everything that I stated. I called Stewart yesterday well before responding. I will not stand by and be a hypocrite, staying quiet while I am being lied to. As I have stated previously, everyone knows that I speak my mind. You once told me that was the quality you liked most about me. Yet when I do so privately, I am ignored and disrespected. I refuse such treatment from anyone, as would you all. I have reached out to everyone on the group, with the exception of Scott, personally with these concerns, yet to no avail. The people are the number one priority, not individuals. This said policy is not in the best interest for the people, not the way it was done. When Mawa, Ringwood, or Hillburn makes policies that challenge the rights of the citizens, us, we go into a frenzy. Yet it's expected for the people to just allow it when it is done by select people of the nation. It is a double standard. The people do not even have the honor of asking questions with actual answers being given. And why? Why are the people being ignored? Why is the Constitution being ignored? Youths love me when I am speaking out against the whites who attempt to take away our voices. Why is it that I am expected not to do the same now? I love you like an uncle. I have been very vocal about that even when others may not agree with me. Yet my priority is now as it was when I was getting shot at those 19 times on the land. Our family, the Muncie people of the Ramapos. This is a text in a series of texts on June 28, 2022, between Marie Two Clouds Williams and the now ex-chief of the Ramapos, Dwayne Perry. The conversation happened 3 days before Two Clouds drove up to Mashpee, believing that a meeting had been set up with chiefs there in order to garner support against Daniel Strongwalker Thomas, who 2 weeks before had come upon the Ramapo land, issuing threats. Once Two Clouds saw that he actually had been set up and there was no meeting there, he drove back to Mahwah on July 2nd, and approximately 18 hours later, the morning of July 3rd, he went missing, only to be found 4 days later on July 6th, dead and decomposing. We know from Two Clouds' own words, writings, and actions the last days of his life that he literally went to his grave fighting for the Ramapo people. Who among them has given anything remotely close to what he has? Peace, everybody. It's Mumsahana here with Beyond Clouds. Sego Sewagoyago. So today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. And in 2 days, on Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, it will be 3 years since my son, Reed Two Clouds Williams, went missing. And then several days later, on July 6th, he was found. He had been murdered. He was dumped on the Ramapo religious grounds at 95 Halifax Road in Mahwah, New Jersey, which was the first parcel of land that he secured for them. It was the only land that they owned at the time, which was 13.9 acres. And it was on the verge of being snatched away, stolen away by the adjacent Mahwah Polo One Hut Club, HOA. And so his body was dumped there, his canoe was flipped over, and a whole scene was staged, as well as stories as to what likely happened, which they have all been defunct. The idea that he drowned has also been defunct by way of forensic examination, which showed 0 signs of drowning, 0 signs of heart attack, 0 signs of accident at all, zero signs of suicide of any sort. So it's been nearly 3 years, or we can say 3 years, and the dung from the Ramapo government continues to flow by the vats full. As some of you may already know, as of June 1st, 2022, exactly 1 month ago today, Chief Dwayne Perry was officially removed as tribal chief or primary chief of the Ramapo Munsee Lenape Nation, also known as the Ramapo Mountain Indians, Inc. And Vincent Mann, who has served for years as Turtle Clan chief, got his years, decades-long wish of finally becoming tribal chief. Two Clouds is of the Turtle Clan, meaning that Vincent Mann was his Turtle Clan chief. And as I have said in previous videos, that Dwayne Perry, nor Vincent Mann, has done a thing for the past 3 years to try to help me get an investigation, try to get justice for Two Clouds, or like in any sorts, until May 9th, 2025. Oh, I meant to say June 1st, 2025 is when Chief Perry was removed. I may have said 22. So May 9th, 2025, which was 2 months ago, nearly, Dwayne Perry, out the blue, called me through Facebook Messenger. I did not answer because there's nothing to say. And also, and that's for more reasons than just he didn't try to help. It makes sense that he wouldn't try to help. But, you know, I had nothing to say. And so, but I also wanted him to leave documentation, in which he did. He, after I did not answer, he sent a message, a text message through Facebook Messenger saying to me that, you know, this is Chief Dwayne Perry, call me, we have strong evidence. No, he said, we have a strong lead and I'm on my way to the prosecutor's office. And so at the time, I had various emotions. I found hilarity in it, but I was enraged, I was offended, and I was curious. I wondered, like, what would make him now reach out to me out the blue and say that there was a strong lead, as if he had been actually looking for leads or looking for information. And as if, you know, he and I had had some sort of conversations about such or what have you. I will interject that Chief Dwayne Perry is very much known for being a liar and a con man of sorts. Well, not of sorts, a con man. And so, you know, this is evident in the fraudulent letter that he sent to the Bergen County Medical Examiner the day after Two Clouds was found, as well as, you know, virtually any interview you hear him in, he lies. And people who know him know it's a lie, like they discuss it and all that on their Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. He sent me that Facebook message, and I was curious as to why. I thought maybe, you know, some of the organizations that I have contacted, letting them know
that Two Clouds was murdered, by whom, and all that sort of thing. I thought maybe some of them had reached out to him or something like that. So, I just sat tight on it or whatever. And then I started getting, like some weeks later, I began getting screenshots from people about him being kicked out as chief. And so I think it was July 2nd, the day after that, I got another Facebook series of messages, because, we were corresponding back and forth, from George Rivera, who informed me that the new chief, Vincent Mann, that he wanted me to know that he was going to see about getting an investigation started. And that apparently that was because during a meeting, I don't know if it was the night before, or I don't know when the meeting was, some point before the 2nd, that as he was telling the Ramapo community of all the things he was going to do, looking further into investigations against Dwayne Perry, who the tribe has been accusing for years, and my son actually had proof of, allegedly, had proof of, that Chief Dwayne Perry had been stealing money and I think misappropriating land and stuff like that. And so that he was going to look further into that. And then someone, I don't know who, of the tribe who was at the meeting said to him, like, what are you going to do about Two Clouds? And then he said he was going to investigate. Now, my answer to that was, no thanks. First of all, who would be doing the investigation? The Mahwah Police Department, who has refused to investigate it for 3 years. The Mahwah Police Department, who at the scene, according to the official 911 transcripts, that at the scene, before they left Two Clouds' body, decided that there would not be an investigation done. This is on record. It's documented. Or the Mahwah Police Department, who initially I thought, going by the operations report, I thought in the operations report is just the report that they have to fill out to document what happened when they got to a scene of, a crime or whatever. And so the operations report states that they were there at, I think 10:46, I think it was. But further New Jersey state official documentation shows that they were there somewhere around like an hour and a half before that. And so, they found this person who everybody knew was Murid, was Two Clouds. Because not only was the Mahwah Police Department quite familiar with Two Clouds, as well as the Mahwah mayor was very familiar with Two Clouds, because Two Clouds came up there making a ruckus and got things actually happening positively for the Ramapo people, including just getting them basic respect from outside communities, not only non-Indigenous, but also Indigenous communities. And so everyone's very familiar with Two Clouds. The judges at the Bergen County Court knew Two Clouds. People on the council, like Mahwah, the Bergen County and all that. Everybody knew Two Clouds. They knew who he was. But on top of that, he was found on Ramapo-owned land. But of course, they're going to call the tribal chief, Dwayne Perry. And since that land is smack dab in the middle of the Mahwah Polo and Hunt Club, HOA, of course they're going to call at least one of the heads of that organization and have them come down, and they discuss, hey, this dead body, like, what are we going to do, or what have you. So we know from the state of his body, although there was no There was no evidence of a drowning, which means he was dead before he went into the water. But his body was absolutely in water. Just, you can kind of tell from the state of the body afterwards. So police protocol is when you find a dead body in or around water, that it is mandatory, it's protocol to do an investigation, because it could be an accident, it could be, suicide, it could be a medical emergency, which again, all of those were ruled out through forensic investigation or forensic examination. But it could be a body dump. There could be foul play. So it's mandatory that police do investigations. But also, because that body of water there at the religious land, if you've ever been there, you know it's a small body of water. I forget the official name of the body of water, but it's backwater off of the Ramapo River. If you see anything written up, which you really won't, but if you see any of the 2 or 3, short paragraphs written about this body being found on, I think it was July 7th or July 6th or July 7th, where they started actually putting something out there, the local media online. They say he was found in the Ramapo River. It is not the Ramapo River per se. It's the backwater from the Ramapo River. So where the Ramapo River has activity, it kind of ebbs and flows. That parcel or that body of water, not only is it shallow, Two used to walk through it sometimes, and it would come to around his calves. But it's also still water, and I have a video showing different times of the year, from year to year. The water is always still, even if there's a huge storm going on. And so that backwater coming off of the Ramapo River, which is owned by the state of New Jersey, it's protocol that they have to call the New Jersey State Troopers Marine Services, immediately. They did not do that for hours. And so we know from documentation that they were there somewhere around 9:15-ish. They stamped the time that they came there at 10:46, I believe it is. In the operations report, they say that they got a call in from passersby, which is untrue. The first call came in from Mawa police themselves about 80 minutes later. And then it wasn't until 4:30 p.m. that afternoon that they called the state troopers in. So you have to wonder, all those hours went by, right? All those hours went by, about 7.5 to 8 hours. We know they called the chief. We know they called the head of the Polo Hunt Club. What were they doing all that time? And so now that all this has happened, and it's been 3 years of no help from any of the tribal government, including Tu Klaus's clan chief, who is now the primary tribal chief. It is not until nearly 3 years later that Chief Perry suddenly has this reckoning of some sort, after he has slandered my name for 3 years and has lied for 3 years, saying that Tu Klaus, there's 2 stories that I've been hearing, that Tu Klaus was drunk, fell out of his canoe, somehow flipped it over, his 16-foot canoe, fell out of his canoe drunk and drowned. And the other story is that he had a heart attack, fell out of his canoe and drowned. And then suddenly, now that Vincent Mann and the others are forcing him out of his seat as chief, he suddenly has this strong lead. And then Vinnie Mann, in return, suddenly wants to have an investigation done into Two Clouds. And I've spoken to him back in the beginning. I've spoke to him several times. And so I will offer this also. Chief Perry and Chief Mann each know for certain that Two Clouds was murdered. Chief Perry and Chief Mann each know exactly who murdered Two Clouds, yet they've done nothing. And so now, with Chief Perry seemingly being in his feelings, and wanting to fight back, and let me offer this too before I go on. Understand, the only reasons that either of them suddenly have this, this feeling of, consciousness, that was sarcasm. These feelings of, consciousness, it has zero to do with Two Clouds. It is absolutely about power. It is absolutely about themselves, without a doubt. They are attempting, once again, to use Two Clouds in order to get what it is they want that they cannot get on their own. And they're attempting to use me. And if you know nothing else about me by now, you know I made Two Clouds. I molded Two Clouds. I made him into who he was. And then he took over and ran with it and did all the absolutely wonderful things that he did for the Ramapo people that no other leader ever did as efficiently as he. Never gave the people anything near the value that he has, and at least since colonization. These are facts, verifiable facts. So now that can't get me on board, I guess, I don't know, a part of it, not all of it. Now that Chief Perry's in his feelings and everything, it's, the Constitution. This isn't how the Constitution is supposed to be. But they have never, ever, ever, ever been committed to the Ramapo Constitution, at least since Two Clouds had been up there. At least since the time that I have been Ramapo adjacent. They've never. And this was a huge problem for Two Clouds. Two Clouds was a Muslim. He was born and raised Muslim. And as a Muslim, he understood the importance of sticking to the rules and abiding by them and moving in the way organizationally, in accordance to those rules, because they were best for the people. But the way the council, the government, the tribal government felt was, no, we don't have to do that because those are like antiquated. This is 2020, 16, 2020, 2022. We don't have to do those things anymore. And they would kind of be upset with Two and get on Two when they would use, a mud turtle with somebody to try to talk him into kind of, assuaging him to go along with the program. And it just wasn't what he was about. He wasn't doing that. The clan mothers couldn't get him to do what they wanted or anything because Two Clouds was true blue. He really, really was. And he believed in the Constitution. He believed in respecting the ancestral wisdom and the true traditions, sans the paganism and, capitalism and colonization and things that has crept into it. And that was a problem for them. But it's just crazy for me that now it's about the Constitution. It was not about the Constitution when Two Clouds had to literally curse out Chief Perry and the council. He told me himself. And everybody who knew he wasn't that type of person to disrespect elders in that way. But he told me, he said, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this. He cursed them out when they were trying to sell off the land. He told them, I got this from him myself. He said he told them that they don't have the right to sell off the land, that it is their ancestral land and that it belongs to the people. And I always interject my further impression of it, which is that not one of them went and got the land. None of them fought for that land. None of them knew what to do about fighting for the land. Two Clouds got the land. So what made them think that they could just sell off the land and all this kind of thing to garner what? Money. When they didn't even put anything to it. So if the one who actually, now of course, Chief Perry is the face. He was the face of all the stuff that was going on. But Two Clouds was the head. Owl was sometimes, the tongue of what was happening. But Two Clouds was the head. This is a fact. It is a fact. And so none of them cared about the Constitution then. None of them cared about the Constitution when Two Clouds begged and begged them to hold Deke accountable for the more than $33,000 worth of cigarettes that he stole from the smoke shop, and that Two Clouds is being held accountable for it and threatened by. None of them cared about the Constitution. None of them cared about using the wisdom of the ancestors to hold this guy accountable. The Constitution had nothing, was not on anybody's mind when, Chief Perry and Stewart signed it too. When Chief Perry made a deal with the Polo and Hunt Club HOA, walking back everything that Two Clouds and Kanaguyo primarily sat on that land throughout 2 frigid winters fighting for. Once Two Clouds was able to secure it, what I said before, documentation that he wrote when his friends helped him edit and everything. After that happened, he was still fighting there for religious freedom, the freedom to assemble as the Ramapo chose and all those sorts of things. Again, Chief Perry was the face, Two Clouds was the head. This should be quite evident to any and everybody, because like zero of this was happening before Two Clouds came up there. Yeah, the government, the council agreed together to start Split Rock Sweetwater Prayer Camp to, garner some of that support that they Standing Rock had gotten, because it was all during their time. But it would have gone nowhere. It would have been deaded in a week. Y'all know it is, or not less, if it was not for Two Clouds. Two Clouds from the very beginning was the lead of the camp. He was the head of the camp. And if he was not there, none of it would have happened. How do we know? Again, because none of it happened in the past. And none of it has happened since Two Clouds has been gone. So, yeah, they didn't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the Constitution when it comes to anything about the tribal members of the community. The Constitution doesn't matter. The Constitution didn't matter when Two Clouds' dead body, again, their one true and most efficient leader ever, at least in colonization. The Constitution did not matter to anyone, the government nor any of the tribal members. The Constitution didn't matter when that happened, which says that they have to advocate for the tribal members. That is, what is the point? I keep trying to figure this out. What do they think the point of a tribal government is? It is to advocate for the people, period. Two clouds from when the Split Rock, Sweetwater Prayer Camp started. He served the Ramapo as firekeeper, as water protector, as land defender, as the true reclaimer of land. He was a secretary. He was on a tribal council. He was an official spokesperson. Everybody knows none of them, not one, can speak and lecture and teach in the way that Two Clouds did. And a whole hell of a lot of the information that some of them try to, or share now, is from Two Clouds. It's from Two Clouds. So this is the reason of tribal government, to advocate for the people. And of course, so he was the spokesperson, official spokesperson. He served in so many capacities. It is because of him that the Ramapo Mohawk friendship treaty happened. My family is Mohawk. His dad's family is Ramapo. Two Clouds was a polyglot. He spoke Ramapo. He spoke Munsee, and he spoke Ganikaha fluently. He worked closely with both groups. During the time of his murder, he was helping to build a Mohawk longhouse. It wasn't just him, it was a group of people. I saw somebody once say that he was like building it by himself. No, but he was certainly instrumental. And incidentally, they stole his tools and kept them, but whatever. So yeah, he was in the middle of helping to build a longhouse. And on the Ramapo side, he had just been elected tribal war chief. So, I mean, there was so many, many, many things that he was doing. Of course, he was still, even when they cut him off from being the spokesperson for the tribe, which, I mean, it didn't hurt him. It was hurting them, if anything. He still continued to do work for the tribe in lecturing and all those sorts of things. He, led nature walks, and he, educational groups from Ramapo College, no affiliation to the tribe. Ramapo College will come over, or, homeschoolers, or just people who wanted to learn about the Ramapo. They would come over, he would sit and he would talk with them, and he would teach them the history, teach them about the land, take them on nature walks and stuff. He served as a consultant to the Land Conservancy of New Jersey. He served as a consultant with the Ramapo College, with his history teachers and stuff there. And he was actually, at the time of his murder, he was getting ready to translate some old, I think they're either in Munsee or Old Dutch, for Mawa, for the Mawa Museum, some, ancient transcripts and stuff that they have there. Not ancient, but, from several centuries ago. He was just doing so much, and mostly, or one of the primary ways that he was working and fulfilling his mission was through education, and of course fighting for the land and things of that nature. And everybody knows he lived a sovereign lifestyle. And so he lived on the land. He took care of the land. I've said before in other videos, the state of that land, which they called their religious land, where he was dumped, his body was dumped, it was never in a state of disrepair as it is now. like even the mass. And so the sole purpose of the tribal government is to advocate and protect the people. And, you know, bringing this whole video to a close, my point of this is I think it's absurd. I think it's disgusting that now the Constitution is taken from the behind their backs, and it's like, yeah, but what about this? You know, to pick up and lie down our ancestors in such a way, I think is so disrespectful. And it makes total sense to me why, if their ancestors have any power, like some of them think they do, if they have power and have done nothing to help the people, I can understand why. Why would they? But also I want to say, no matter, you know, right now it's like, seems to be like a honeymoon period. That is like, yeah, we got rid of the evil witch. Now we got a new witch. This is a good witch and all this. And you know, it's the honeymoon period. It's like, yeah, let's get these tribal meetings together. Yeah, we need to come together as a unified people. The same things that have always been said. And you know, it's like, yeah, the powwow is coming up and all this kind of thing. All those things are great if they are not perfunctory, if they are not meatless or fruitless. And so, personally, I think that the Ramapo people are doomed. Like, seriously. Because if nothing else, you all have blood on your hands. You all have blood on your hands. There are a handful of you who actually smiled in Two Clouds' face while you were plotting against him, who murdered him, and who worked to cover it up and remain quiet. But the rest of you have also remained quiet. Now, of course, I'm not talking about the children. They're not involved in this. The rest of you have remained quiet. And I know for a fact there are many of you, many, who know what Pete did. Your Wolf sub-clan chief, who I'll say again and again, I don't know how he got to be some sub-clan chief. The rest of y'all don't have sub-clan chief. Y'all don't have enough going on to need to have a sub-chief for anything. But him, he's not intelligent at all. And up until the day of the funeral, he was terrorizing all, like so many of you and the elders. The day of the funeral, after we left from burying Two Clouds, and some of you went up to the tribal office for a fire ceremony for Two Clouds, and my family, you were told to go straight to the land, which is why we weren't there. But several people have confirmed, Ramapo and not Ramapo, including the person that it happened to, Mud Turtle, confirmed that Pete cussed his ass out. He cussed him out. He was lying even at the cemetery with my son after we buried him, because he's an idiot. He told my other kid this first of us. He was telling people that he was the new war chief, which isn't how that happens. Two Clouds was the war chief. And so he cussed Mud Turtle, poor guy, out in front of everybody, and none of you stood up for him. Shame on you. But up until that time, he was a whole asshole, terrorizing everybody. And so many people were coming to me saying, hey, I don't know if he did it, but I'm telling you that Pete has something to do with this. He has something to do with this. Those of you who were there at the ceremony on the land saw how he was behaving. Y'all saw him and his girl, how they were behaving. Y'all saw how Keisha was behaving. Y'all saw these things, and yet you remain quiet. And this is not slander, because y'all would be drooling if you knew all the actual concrete evidence I have and that I've given to all the right people. So yeah, none of you have done anything. I've spoken directly to people and I give names and they're like, I knew it. I knew it was him. I knew, right? I have done nothing. Those of you who know what Deke has done, those of you who know what Perry has done, those of you who have been confided in, there are many people who know the truth but refuse to do anything, and therefore you have blood on your hands. Again, the one person who truly loved the Ramapo people, you allowed to be murdered and dumped, and you did nothing but continue with your powwows and your little march through Manhattan, trying to get white folks who don't give a shit about no indigenous person to see you and recognize that you're still here. They don't give a shit. You don't matter. And so, at this point, you have brought, and maybe before that, I don't know, because again, your ancestors weren't doing anything for you. You all weren't doing anything for you. So I don't know about before this, but for sure, since this, you are a cursed people. You are a cursed people. You are a cursed people. Because you murdered the gift that the Creator sent to you. Just this is what you don't understand. Two Clouds didn't have experience in fighting billion-dollar companies. He didn't have experience in land deeds and treaties. But he was allowed to be successful on behalf of the Ramapo people. Understand, Two Clouds was not doing this for any money, clout, none of that kind, nothing. You all saw how he lived. He was a poor man. He was a poor man. He could have been out there grinding like everybody else, but it wasn't his mission and it just wasn't who he was. He truly believed in the Ramapo people, the youth primarily. He really believed in the people. He believed that he could be a change and that if other youth followed behind him, that they would take the Ramapo out of this atmosphere. I've met non-indigenous people in the community who have said as much. Like some of the people that work with the Ramapo, they were heartbroken by the murder of my son because they've told me themselves they believe that he was the future of the Ramapo. Now, did he want to be chief? He never wanted to be chief. That's what people don't understand. Nearly from the beginning, like the very, very beginning, when people saw how quickly he was getting things done, there had been buzz among some of the people in the Ramapo saying that he should be chief. He was 24 years old. He was a firecracker. He was making it happen. And people were telling him that he should be chief. They didn't want Chief Perry there anymore. Two Clouds, as far as they saw, was like the only one who had the courage and intelligence to do anything real for the people. Like long lasting, like 7 generations and beyond type. And but he never wanted to be chief because, as a meme that I put out recently, he truly lived by and believed in the idea, which he got through Islam, through the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, that the one who wants to be leader, who is hell pressed on being leader, or chief or like, the head absolutely should not be the one. It should be the one who doesn't want the job because they understand how hard it is. But one of the main reasons he told me too that he didn't want to be chief is because he said he could get far more done without being chief, because unlike others, he believed in respecting the wishes of the people. And since there was always so much turmoil within the Ramapo community, among the tribal council and stuff, it was hella hard to get anything done. Even when he was secretary, it was like hella hard to get anything done. And so he never wanted that. He wanted to be able to move how he wanted to move, in ways that he thought conducive to the end goal. And y'all murdered him. You murdered him. And y'all do nothing about it. The only way that I can see, and of course, my 2 cents is worth less than that. But as far as I can tell, as I've said before, the only chance that the Ramapo Nation has is to get these greedy people who are hungry for power, who believe that they, or at least tell the people that they believe they can do something for them, yet have not in years, have not done anything real for the people. I think they need to get the hell out of the way. That one, have many, that one text message that I read at the beginning of this video, if you listen and you read, Two Clouds wasn't only talking about Chief Perry, he was talking about the whole council. And I just don't see some miracle happening and all of a sudden, woo-hoo, we got somebody new, everything gonna be different now. It's not gonna happen. You need the young people. You need young leaders to take over and lead the nation into the future. These people who are on the council only give a damn about being seen, being acknowledged, being accepted by the outside community. They mostly care in the physical, superficial, you could say, aspects of indigeneity. The powwows, the regalia, the having beading classes and stuff like that. But what is that doing for the people? If there is no land, if there is no education, if there is no health clinics for the children, if there is no one really taking responsibility in preventing this disease and really stepping to these people, these white folks primarily, I will say, or at least white system, but white folks who are not afraid to stand up and speak up, who, if their children are being disrespected in the school system because they're Ramapo, that they're not going to just sit back and like, yeah, they keep doing this to us year after year, and it's not fair. I mean, this racism has to stop. They need to have somebody that's gonna, let's go, let's get this shit popping. Let's go up here to the school. Let's make sure this is not going to happen again. Let's make sure this teacher thrown out, like Two Clouds did. When he started at Ramapo College, that first year as a freshman, he learned about this tenured professor who was teaching racist antics and whatever about the Ramapo people, teaching that they were Jackson Whites, that they were not really indigenous and everything. Got a petition going and got her ass kicked out. You need young people who are unafraid, who will take the time to learn what to do, who will be held accountable by their peers, and who really want to get something done, because these niggas about to die off soon anyway. So what are you going to have left? They are fine with just looking like they're part of a clique and that they're doing something, selling dinners and stuff to like get this little thing done, or you know what I mean? Is this. You need somebody who can see the entire picture and are willing to sacrifice and do what it takes. Nobody on that council is going to do that. None of them that I know of, and I've been around, again, Ramport Jason, I'm very confident in saying that I know far more about the inner workings of the Ramapo people than the vast majority of the Ramapo people. That's a fact. So I'm saying to you that none of them, and it's obvious, just look at the history, the patterns. Like, this is not me throwing shade. This is a reality. I'm here speaking on behalf of my son. The people who are at the heads should not be there. The youth need to take over. The youth need to get rid of them. It don't matter if you don't know what to do at first, because they don't fucking know what to do. So what's the point? What's the difference? At least the youth will be at the helm and making moves on their own behalf, making moves for their elders, doing things. I can't tell you how many times me being a nurse, just being service driven, so many times I would try to get to it, like, come on, let's do this for the elders. And that's the gist of my work. I like to work with elders, take care of elders. So I'm like, let's do this for the elders. I'll come down once a month. We'll do like wellness checks. We'll do this, we'll do that, da, 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 da. And he'd be like, Ma, that sounds groovy, but they're not gonna do it. He's like, we have food here. We have had food here, free food for them so many times. Nobody would come get the food, so the food rots. Like, stuff like that. And so it's going to take the youth. Of course, again, we see what happens when the youth who actually have the potential, who have the leadership, who have the courage, who have the intelligence, who has the charisma to speak and to deal with the outside world, indigenous and non-indigenous. We see what happens when they start to rise up and do good things for the people, not for themselves. Because there have been many times that people of the land that Two Clouds reclaimed for the Ramapo people, there were a couple of landowners who, out of good faith, donated or returned land back to the Ramapo people. They were trying to give Two Clouds his own land, but he refused to take it because he said it didn't belong to him, it belonged to the people. So when you're talking about young people who are focused, they want to reclaim what is theirs. What is theirs. When you have people who are willing to do that, young people who are willing to do that, and they do so successfully, they are going to come for you. We've seen it. And the people will not stand up and fight for you. We've seen it. But nonetheless, I'm saying to you, be like Two Clouds. Be like your cousin. He showed you what to do. Study him. He showed you what to do. He showed you what to do. He showed you what you need to look out for among your own people. Everything you need, it's true, is in the Constitution. But they don't respect the Constitution. You have to respect the Constitution. You have to respect your ways, your old ways, not this mess that's going on now. And at least for the time being, until you get on your feet, allow Two Clouds to lead you to what you need to do and how you need to do it. There are people who are waiting because they were working with Two Clouds, and when he was murdered, it depleted their hope in having anything viable happen. But there are people there waiting for you. And with some of them, if you need, because I'm back here, I ain't trying to be involved. I got my own shit I'm doing that I'm overwhelmed by. And one of them is fighting for your cousin. But if you ever need me, I can certainly make a phone call for you. Just saying.